Now that I've definitely figured out how to correctly pronounce Rhys Ifans' name, we can finally get around to talking about an episode he's barely in.
Rhys Ifans.
Okay, it's definitely not that. I don't know why they keep releasing things before my videos are out, but I guess this is just how we're doing things and I'll have to deal with it. Now over to Glidus with the opening credits watch. Thanks Glidus, I'm Glidus, here with breaking news. The bloodline running from the union of Alicent and Viserys now has 2 lines instead of 1 because they've got 2 babies instead of 1. And now Rhaenyra has a marriage connection because Laenor has grown some facial hair.
I'm gonna need you to grow a beard for this.
This demonstrates the show's willingness to update the credits as it goes on, so I'm left wondering why I'm still listening to a tangentially related track from 11 years ago. Ah well, guess I'll just replace it with a far less related track from much, much longer ago.
All our times have come here, but now they're gone.
We open on Runestone, where we meet Prince Daemon's wife, Rhea Royce, the Bronze Babe. Never change, HBO. We also meet Rhea's cousin, Jerry, who asks if she'll be hunting for rabbits and if she'd like some company. Rhea says dear and no, so you get the immediate idea that she is a confident, independent, and underestimated woman. I love this armor, and I think it's bold of the production to embrace with open arms the time-honored tradition of just taking shit from Wikipedia. It's just so funny to me that they're driven enough to put runes on the Royce armor, a detail the majority of watchers aren't going to appreciate, demonstrating the passion they have for the existing lore and the effort they're willing to commit to it, but they couldn't be asked paying David J. Peterson to scribble down a couple more markings for them. I have to assume this is because the costume department were just told to put some runes on it, and really, who the fuck cares? But on the other hand, immersion ruined, 0 out of 10, woke nonsense, friendship with House of the Dragon over, now Rings of Power is my best friend. Stop asking, I haven't watched it yet. You think I have time to watch 2 TV shows? Waiting for Rhea in her castle's driveway is her estranged husband, Matt Smith in an oversized hood, who looks very normal today, like he's going to commit the normal amount of murders. Her horse is absolutely rocking these bangs just quietly. Rhea seems quite adept at playing on Daemon's insecurities.
Cast you aside in favor of a little girl.
So it's no surprise that he would rather pair with sheep, who are notoriously unobservant when it comes to personal diffidence. They're also apparently DTF?
The Vale sheep might be willing.
Must be something in the water. It's interesting that even after the years they've been married, Rhea and Daemon's union remains unconsummated. This actually gives Daemon a decent legal argument for setting his marriage aside and taking someone else's wife, but I guess he didn't want to mention to anyone that he never actually got around to giving her the hot D. Anyway, he's here to kill an innocent girl boss, so it's even easier to take a new wife. How morally grey of him. And he does so by approaching her stylish steed. I like how Rhea realizes what's going on.
Will you strike the child down? Or...
Like, she puts it together that Daemon's options are to either get rid of Rhaenyra or join Rhaenyra, and he can only do that if he's single. The editing here is a little wacky, but my impression here is that Daemon smells of Caraxes, and that freaks Rhea's fashionable filly way out, so the bronze bitch gets bucked back. Would have liked a bit more indication that that is what's going on, or some other explanation. A shot of Caraxes flying overhead would be silly though, because Daemon's trying to be sneaky here. Sneaky lad. After confirming she's paralyzed, it appears as though Daemon's just gonna leave her to die, but when Rhea makes a dying quip about his apparent impotence,
I knew you couldn't finish.
He updates his rating of her from pass to smash. The pretty pony goes running off, presumably because that's actually Tyreke Lannister and he urgently needs to get back to the books. That's one for the committed viewer, the 4% of you who are actually subscribed. Intertextuality. Runestone was such a minor location in Game of Thrones, so props to them for the castle's consistency. Not exactly what Jaime tells us in Game of Thrones, but en route to Driftmark, the king chunders and the hand carries a hanky. Lyonel Strong is the hand now, given that Viserys is, desperately in need of hands. Accompanied by her boy toy, Rhaenyra anxiously awaits their arrival and the sealing of her future. In a rainy King's Landing, Otto Hightower fucks offwardly. Alicent is like, no, you can't go until we have a really good scene together, and so they do. It is illegal that, barring the unlikely case of flashbackery, we will never again see these actors playing these characters together. So the scene's a nifty little repackaging of the previous episode. Otto's leaving because he was fired, because Rhaenyra said so. Otto was really pushy about besmirching Rhaenyra and making his grandson the heir, and Viserys didn't take so kindly to that. So when Alicent tells Viserys she believes Rhaenyra didn't bump uglies with her funkle, he agrees to Rhaenyra's deal. Rhaenyra marries Laenor, Viserys fires Otto. Otto lays the blame of this at Alicent for siding with Rhaenyra.
You wanted to believe her, as did her father.
Bit rich to blame her for this situation when the entire problem only came about because you pushed to have Viserys set Rhaenyra aside, and because you spied on Rhaenyra, and because you forced your daughter to seduce the king the moment the queen died. Yeah, it's all your fault, Alicent.
I'm a bit confused.
But yeah, she points out that no, this is actually your fault.
If you had not been so relentless in advancing Aegon as heir!
But he's like, no, you don't get it. If he isn't made the heir, there's gonna be a big war because Rhaenyra still doesn't have a penis. And the only way that gets resolved is with death. People dying until they are dead. Your little friend is gonna kill you and your babies, and you're not seeing that because of your massive crush on her. Not that I'm blaming you, she is a cutie. If I ever need to display a movie on a big screen, I'll just hire Otto. That is some crisp projection. As if there wouldn't be lords supporting Rhaenyra if Aegon were made heir. Extremely powerful lords.
Either you prepare Aegon to rule, or you cleave to Rhaenyra and pray for her mercy.
Oh, that second thing? Yeah, let's do that. Do that one. Just do that one. Like, just kind of foresee the impending succession crisis and do the thing that doesn't probably lead to everyone dying to death. The only way to stop the realm from doing a war would be to negotiate a peace between the princess and the queen and their families. Granted, Otto did propose a marriage alliance in episode 3, however, that's a fucking baby, and a wife being 16 years older than her husband is not exactly conducive to producing many heirs. Otto's primary motive isn't preventing a war, it's making Aegon king, as his brother laid bare to us.
Then it lies with you to make him see it.
Alright, see ya kid, have fun dealing with my mess, bye! This is a great scene.
The king will die.
Spoilers, Otto! Viserys is visibly ill, which is a metaphor of sorts for him being ill. We arrive at tahd, Corlys Velarion's schmexy castle he built with all the money he made from being good at sailing. It's disconnected from the rest of Driftmark, only accessible by a narrow causeway which goes underwater at tahd, hence the name, tahd. It's depicted by the real-life tidal island castle, St. Michael's Mount, not to be confused with the real-life tidal island castle, St. Michael's Mount, but in French, which is 300 kilometers that way. It'd be like if there was another castle called tahd just on the other side of the narrow sea. That's headcanon now. Your headcanon. I can do that. Instead of, say, himself, Corlys has sent the gays to receive the king's party. Stronk is outraged at this, but then noted former child Laena shows up to bring them in, probably as a reminder of the most recent piss the crown took on House Velaryon. Viserys quotes his wife in the bedroom.
Let's just get on with it.
Back in King's Landing, I'm gonna get fucking whiplash one of these days, Alicent is losing a staring contest with a tree when old Larry Stronk ambushes her for a botany lesson. He's a total weirdo, and I love him. I also introduce myself by describing a nearby plant as a metaphor for the situation of the person I'm talking to. Yeah, all the time.
By all rights, it shouldn't be thriving here.
Oi mate, you're a fucking broom shrub. Yeah, figure that one out. So Larry talks about a plant growing where it shouldn't. He mentions Braavos, and there's a lemon tree in the background. This combination of elements leads lots of people to think the writers are making a subtle nod to Lemongate, a notorious book theory about the secrets of Daenerys' childhood, which is either indisputable fact or a criminally insane conspiracy, depending on your star sign. Aquarius, by the way. It's why I'm so aloof. In her early memories, Dany recalls a lemon tree outside her house, and also she believes she grew up in Braavos, but later passages have us question the idea that a lemon tree could even grow in Braavos. I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but yeah, it seems like a pretty crazy coincidence that Larry's speech would include all of these elements, so I can definitely believe that it's an intentional reference. Like, there could have been anything on this mural, but it's a lemon tree. The plant could have been from anywhere, but it's from Braavos. I think it's great how these few lines indicate that Larys is over overflowing with obscure insight about everything. Like, oh, a random plant? Here are some facts about it, and a metaphor that relates it to the person I'm talking to, and also myself. What a normal guy. Oh, right, the plot.
The weather has been lovely.
Indeed.
Oh, fuck yeah, talk about the weather. Through the veneer of pretending Rhaenyra was sick, Larys tells Alicent that the princess did indeed fuckle with someone because Melos delivered her the moon tea. Even though it's quite obvious what Larys is communicating to Alicent in this scene, it's still subtextual. It's still characters not outright stating their intentions. It's cheeky and clever, and it's fun to watch them talk around the issue. Kind of reminds me of something. So I'm a big fan of this scene, and Larys in general. He's been a very fun character so far, and it looks like the actor is having a lot of fun.
See, I thought for Melos himself, that condition must be something very serious.
But is he a green seer? Look, green seer is one hell of a strong term, so probably not, but he's definitely spooky as fuck, and they're pushing an association with him and the old gods. And look, I think it'd be lots of fun if it turned out he was skin changing these rats. He has to find out his information somehow, but I'll hold out on declarative statements for now. We don't know tits about where the Strongs come from, other than that they have First Man ancestry, but we do know from the books that their present seat at Harrenhal has an enormous godswood with a still living weirwood in it, so it's not entirely out of the question. Larys ends the scene with the one sentence no theorist will ever earnestly say.
What happiness it is to have been wrong.
Oh hi, Driftmark. The king's party approaches the Hall of Nine, but just at the entrance, Viserys and Lailonniel are let through while the girls are kept out of the proceedings. Did you know that the power dynamics of gender is a theme in this show? It's subtle, I know. Sorry, princess. Moreover, Rhaenyra is kept out of the room where her entire future will be decided. So, yeah. Instead, Laena takes her out for brunch or something on Gay Island.
Come, cousin.
No! Stop that! We enter the Hall of Nine, a museum Corlys built to commemorate how cool he is. It's packed with all kinds of crazy things he picked up on his many extravagant escapades, like this Nautilus shell, the crab feeder's mask, this thing, and a cool wife. Looks like Viserys isn't the only one into model cities. The first we see of Corlys are his fingers tapping casually against his driftwood throne, showing us what he has that Viserys doesn't. Control over his domain and those two fingers. Absolute boss move making the king come to your throne room. Regardless of what anyone says in this scene, Corlys is more Viserys' equal than he is his underling. Viserys just has a little cough. It's nothing, don't worry about it. But yeah, he does slather his gunk all over Princess Rhaenys' hands.
Are you well?
Yeah, I'm fucking super, thanks for asking. No, I don't need a chair! Corlys says Lionel's the perfect pick for Viserys' hand. Very noble of him to say, considering how big a fan he was of Otto Hightower.
This is an absurdity.
Next, the sea snake and the air snake S inform the king that Daemon's gone done an uxoricide.
There's no kind of killing that doesn't have its own word.
They must have found out in the not very long since Viserys left King's Landing, because otherwise he would already know. But it serves to basically show us that, yeah, everyone knows Daemon did it.
Lady Rhea's skill as both rider and hunter were well known.
She stood to inherit Runestone.
Viserys doesn't like the implication that his brother did that thing he definitely did, and changes subject to the marriage proposal.
It's long past time our houses were united in blood.
Yeah. You know who you're talking to, right? Corlys is like, yeah, cool, but can we put seahorse stickers on them instead of dragon stickers? Viserys considers this and settles for seahorse stickers when they're born, but dragon stickers when they're crowned. Good enough for Corlys. Again, this basically puts the Velaryons on equal footing with the Targaryens. All that separates them is the formality of the crown. We get some Rhaenys live reaction footage during this discussion of succession in relation to gender.
You are not proposing the Targaryen dynasty end with my daughter, simply because she's a woman.
Corlys is conspiring to get a Velaryon on the throne is contingent on maintaining the tradition of children taking their father's name, and also doing away with the tradition of men inheriting over women. He's contorting his understanding of tradition to suit his family's needs.
This is an equitable compromise.
Hell yeah, can't wait to see this one in the memes. At the Windows 10 login screen, the princess and Rhaenyra go for a pleasant romantic walk on the beach. They discuss the catering options for their wedding reception.
I prefer roast duck.
to goose.
There are those who like goose very well.
Nah, it's actually a metaphor for the gay elephant in the room. Lailor is big into cock, it turns out. And so Rhaenyra's like, yo, let's get married for the whole political situation. Maybe spit out an heir or two, but open marriage? Open marriage.
This is an equitable compromise.
Tale as old as time. The Velaryons have a debrief while Viserys takes a nap because he's so healthy. They discuss the future, beginning with the most obvious problem of their plan. Laenor is, well, gay. It's a phase. He'll grow out of it, just like I did. Rhaenys values the safety of her family over the potential political power they may gain.
We are placing our son in danger. To what end, Corlys? Wealth, power? Pride?
And this makes sense. She was passed over for the throne coming up on 2 decades ago and has come to terms with her place in life as an extremely powerful dragon-riding girl boss, having long since come to terms with the realm spurning her.
I myself have put the business behind me, Corlys.
Corlys, on the other hand, refuses to let Rhaenys' claim to the throne fizzle out.
By all rights, you should be Queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
That's true! But what's really driving this notion of his? Well, he does seem to genuinely love Rhaenys and probably thinks that he and she would make a glorious king and queen. He's also fiercely ambitious, and what greater prize could there be than the Iron Throne? He and his family have also been cucked multiple times by the ruling powers of King's Landing, and he seeks retribution for those instances. So love, ambition, justice, they all play a part in Corlys' plan to put his blood on the throne. I get that she's a princess and therefore of much higher standing than the wives of most lords you hear about, but it's so cute that Corlys actively incorporates his wife in his decision-making.
Before the Princess Rhaenys and I could accept this most generous proposal.
You get the impression that Lord Velaryon truly respects his wife in a way most other men in Westeros never even consider. Can't wait to see more of them together. Elsewhere on Gay Island, the gay boys speak gaily of how gay they are. This scene softens me to Laenor's actor. Seeing Joffrey break his barriers down gives some depth to the reserved emotionlessness we saw from him earlier. Woo. It's not often you come across a depiction of a gay couple in media where neither of them are outrageously effeminate, so that's something. Good, probably. I think. Joffrey's like, hey, this is a pretty sweet gig. You'll be king consort and we can just keep doing our thing. What's not to love? And Laenor's like, I have to marry someone I have no interest in. Which, yeah, geez, wonder if you've seen that elsewhere in this story. Just the show furthering its anti-marriage agenda. Ryan Condal won't rest until there are no marriages left. Oh, Joffo puts together that Rhaenyra would only ask for this arrangement if she was also getting some on the side, and we cut to exactly that predicament. Rhaenyra's lover isn't quite so receptive to the arrangement as Laenor's lover is. Chimney knows bloody well the pickle he's got himself stuck in now that he's stuck his pickle in her. If the wrong person finds out about his oath breaking, he's absolutely done for. So he's come up with this honestly hilarious scheme where they run away to Essos via Dawn, get married, and try to grow a lemon tree in Bravos or something, I don't know. It doesn't seem like he thought it through that much. Now, yeah, this proposition is pretty whack-tastic on his part, but it's all he has, and it presents Rhaenyra with the freedom her story has been so concerned with from the very beginning. She has a choice now. Will she take the path of choosing her own life and her own love? You know, Viserys has other kids now. She's not the end of the dynasty anymore, so the magitastical implications aren't so dire. She could give everything up and truly pursue her own desires. Or will she take the path laid out for her, to marry a man of her father's choosing to secure an alliance, and to inherit the throne and lead the realm? Essentially, will she choose the freedom she so earnestly craves, or the duty her mother once spoke of, the destiny her father made clear? Or you might think of it as a choice between freedom and the power of the crown.
I am the crown.
You can see the choice does take her off guard. She really does think about this. But despite all her bemoaning the position she holds, Rhaenyra chooses to not send herself into exile just to please her boy toy.
Do you think I would choose infamy in exchange for a bushel of oranges or a ship to a shy?
She does have a compromise, though. Rhaenyra, as we've seen, refuses to let commitment to her family or duty or whatever stop her from exercising her personal will. Rather than choose between them, she would rather finesse the system to have her lemon cake and eat it.
Laenor and I have an understanding. I've granted him leave to pursue his own interests, and and in turn he's gone to be the same.
But for Coolio, this isn't actually about her freedom. It's about his pride, his oath and honor, and the consequences their affair will have on his life. And for those things, there is no compromise. For him, it's the restoration of his pride or nothing.
So you want me to be your whore?
He's upset that she would ask him to lay down the only thing he has in this world, his honor as a Kingsguard.
It is the only thing I have to my fucking name.
As though he didn't just ask her to lay down the only thing she has to her name, that being, well, her name? Nera certainly didn't think any of this through when she chose to fuckle him in the first place, but faced with all of this, she remembers the legacy she has been tasked with bearing, and Kluge's pride simply isn't worth it.
The Iron Throne looms larger than me, larger than anyone in my family.
Responsibility is larger than the throne. It is larger than you and your desires.
So yeah, that seems really fucking good. After his business trip abroad, Viserys really just wants to get into his own bed. He's so keen for a nap that he decides to take one standing up in the middle of the courtyard. The queen is sick of this game of baby jiggling, so she tags in a ringer. When Cloco shows up, she makes him sit close to her, maybe to manufacture some kind of connection.
You're perhaps in need of an ally?
I'm the queen. I have no shortage of allies.
Aww. Just like her father before her, Alicent tries to accuse Rhaenyra of banging Daemon without actually saying it.
I'm not unaware that in a flush of youth, there may be errors made.
They were engaged in behaviors unbecoming of a maiden.
Luckily for her, Crandall is so racked with guilt that he just can't help but admit to breaking his Kingsguard vows. You get the feeling he would have confessed to whoever he was speaking to at this time. Hey Chris, how you going? Hi, I fucked the princess! Please kill me! No, really, he just asks that she kills him because he's expecting to be tortured or gelded or even worse, Nickelodeon slimed, but actually none of that.
Thank you for your honesty, Sir Kristen. You may go.
Ah shit, that was easy. Keeping him around is long-term beneficial to Alicent, obviously, as he is a very sexy pile of walking blackmail against Rhaenyra, and the queen is dealing with too much personal shit at the moment to care about having soiled his white cloak. We cut to Viserys and his nostrils being cared for in as many quotation marks as you can muster. Mellos is all about them leeches.
The leechings have always brought his grace relief.
Yes, Mellos, we can see that, but Maester Orwyle wants to try out this crazy new idea called medicine. As in the book, Orwyle seems much more adept at healing Viserys than Mellos is. It's unclear if Mellos is merely incompetent and incontinent in his advanced age, or if he's intentionally not helping the king as part of some grand plot, or if he's simply in the pocket of Big Leech. In any case, his arm looks more like wood than arm. Viserys is turning into a tree.
And the three-eyed raven.
Not you! He talks with Lionel about legacy.
Will I be remembered as a good king, Lionel?
His reign has been characterized by nothing in particular. No great conquests, no strengthening of the crown's authority, no glorious civil reforms, no whatever Aenys did. Viserys' reign has been one of prosperous yet unremarkable peace, continuing a circumstance that was not of his making, but rather of his grandparents' making. Perhaps war would have strengthened him, galvanized his resolve, further empowered the realm. Perhaps it would have made him less manipulable, more cocksure. Or mayhaps it would have killed him and flung the realm into the chaos of a succession crisis much sooner.
Many that are tested only wish to have been spared it.
He's envious of the bravery and straightforward glory of his brother and father, of Corlys, and of Aegon the Conqueror, but he knows that's not who he is. Point is, the future is on Viserys' mind going into his daughter's wedding. His future and the realms. He's just gonna have a little nap right there. Enough with all of this talking about the plot and the themes and all that shit. There are dragons on my screen. It's Meleys. She's so pretty. Rhaenys arrived at her own wedding on Meleys back, so it's only fitting that her son Laenor arrives at his upon sea smoke. Before season's end, I'd love to hear Viserys speak of Meleys and how she was once his mother's dragon, and how he would accompany her atop Meleys from the young age of 9 days. Anyway, yeah, what an entrance. Let's go, Valarians. And so we arrive at the royal wedding, or the night of 1,000 cosplays. Jason Lannister, the patron saint of cunt, arrives, clearly salty about how he's not the groom here.
I could think of no better man than Selena.
I'm not mad, you're mad. Then he makes a lazy sexist joke.
This is why men wage war, because a woman would never be ready for the battle in time.
I understand the Queen is still readying herself for the celebrations.
While previously she'd been shown to be beholden to the whims of the king, throughout this episode, Alicent begins to act independently, because her father said to. I mean, look at how she switches from the Targaryen red and black to the Hightower green. You get it. Jerry Royce interrupts Uncle Hobart, which is pretty baller of him, you might say. Viserys is like, sorry your cousin or something died. Rhaenyra attempts to offer vague platitudes, but is interrupted by the Lord of the Drip. There's some formalities and all that, and an absolute tune playing. If this is a Velaryon theme, then fuck yes, and just as everyone sits down, Matt Smith at a wedding shows up. Look at him being toxic in his little outfit. Sup bro, I'm back from being exiled. Where do I sit? God damn. Being exiled from Viserys' court is about as threatening a punishment as library fines. The king begins a speech about the alliance they're about to create, but if Daemon thought his arrival was a big balls power play, he's about to find out just how big the queen's balls are. Interrupting a speech about how powerful and important and cool House Velaryon is, Alicent shows up wearing a dress symbolic of the power and importance and coolness of House Hightower, basically stating, but we light the way. After all, what's a navy worth without a big fucking lighthouse?
The beacon on the high tower. Do you know what color it glows when Old Town calls its banners to war?
If I had to guess, fuchsia. I've seen a lot of people take issue with this line as overdone exposition, and no, not really. The casual viewer would have no idea the significance of this dress's color, and Larys earlier demonstrated that he's brimming with obscure knowledge, and he's developing an active interest in the Queen's affairs, so it makes perfect sense that he would say this, especially to Harwin, who is, a big, dumb, extremely handsome brute. Oh my god, he's a himbo. Himbo strong.
Congratulations, stepdaughter.
Remember in episode 3 when Alicent was reluctant to bring up the power imbalance in her relationship with Rhaenyra? Well, now that she's learned of the princess's deceptions, the gloves have come off. She's not friend or princess or even Rhaenyra anymore. She's stepdaughter. Alicent embraces her power, and she claims this event for herself and her dress.
By all rights, it shouldn't be thriving here.
As the bride's father, Viserys reserves the right to be the funniest person at the event.
And after tonight's small affair,
at the mention of Rhaenyra being married, we see Cloaca going all pouty. Yo, it's Mushroom! Finally, we can say this adaptation is legitimate. Bride and groom begin the dancing, which looks like it's an imitation of dragon flight or like a dragon mating dance thingy. I assume they're doing this in an attempt to unlock the secrets of firebending. Meanwhile, Joffrey pieces together that Columbo is Rhaenyra's manstress. Yeah, Vizzy, you tap those feet. He's so into it. Uncle Ho tells Alicent he's proud of her making a stand, and that Old Town has her back. Very cool. By the way, this dance is in that super bouncy mixed meter 6834 thing. He knows what he's doing. Cousin Jerry thinks not enough funny shit has happened yet, so he tries to make Daemon answer for his crimes. Have you not been paying attention?
Who are you? Sir Gerald Royce. And?
Okay, let's see how this goes.
I am making an accusation.
Daemon says L plus ratio plus no bitches plus I'm the heir to Runestone now because I feel like it. Hey, maybe if you don't accuse me of that Latin word I probably mispronounced earlier, I won't kill you to make that so. Lena, the groom's sister, seems taken by how morally grey Prince Daemon is. Rhaenyra's hair, by the way.
Has anybody ever told you you're nearly as pretty as your brother?
Do not ship them! Joffrey informs Laenor who exactly he expects will be cuckolding him.
Look at him. The man is fully cunt-strung.
What a term! Unable to secure his brother's daughter, Daemon instead settles for his cousin's daughter. Not as many incest points, but of course, you can't hold out forever. For something he keeps referring to as a secret, Lonmouth seems really keen on yelling about Rhaenyra's affair in a crowded room. I certainly don't know why you would tell Chain Chomp that you know, but I guess Joffrey too is a himbo, and completely unaware of the turmoil Cole is going through. To Joffrey, Rhaenyra's affair is probably as as carefree and simple as theirs. He thinks he's offering Klopp an understanding, an alliance, because he's a nobleman who has so much more to his name. But Cole is a Kingsguard, and that's all he is.
When your father named me to his Kingsguard, it was the highest honor any Cole had ever known.
It is the only thing I have to my fucking name.
So when Joffrey says this to him, how could he not interpret it as a threat? We'll get into the nitty-gritty soon, but I think the reframing of Joffrey's death in the show is fantastic. The common man snapping under the stress of the system so casual to the nobles, isn't that the whole point? That the squabbles of the nobility ultimately lay their greatest damage upon the common people? It's just that Crispy M&M's happens to be the only common man to have acquired genuine authority in being Kingsguard.
But the Knight of Kisses, they call me, though I don't know why.
I'm not sure myself, to be honest, but it might have something to do with all the kissy lips on your sigil, mate. Nera dances with Harwin Strong until Daemon cockblocks him to have a secret conversation. Like Changes did earlier, Daemon makes a last-ditch effort to get her for himself. Or he's just reminding her who she is and what she truly seeks. She double doggy dares him to fight his way out and steal her away, and while they both think that'd be really hot, they're interrupted by the plot. The plot also happens to interrupt Viserys' dinner. Kristen Eno goes goblin mode. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on, everyone's in a quiet panic, these people seem delighted. Someone shoves the princess, it looks like Laena gets shoved too. The Kingsguard guard the king, who looks like he's ready for another nap. Right there with you, bud. Oh, that can't be good. Lionel does something, so break bones breaks bones. Me big man save pretty lady. And oh yeah, Cookie Monster beats the ever-loving shit out of Laenor's boyfriend and also his life. Then he gets up and leaves, having punched the future king consort. Now, look, so yes, and indeed. Is chickens walking out of the hole completely unquestioned a bit weird? Yeah, I guess. But all the guards, including the other Kingsguard, seem to be otherwise occupied. There's a lot of chaos here. He is a Kingsguard himself, so wouldn't the natural assumption of literally everyone be that his actions here are in service of protecting the royal family in some way? Nobody saw how this thing even started, and Joffrey did pull a knife on him, after being lightly pummeled. My verdict on this scene is that it's pretty easily explainable, especially given that the perpetrator has the queen on side, but it's a bit of an issue that the explanation wasn't provided in the episode. However, this is the dramatic climax of the first 5 episodes. This is the point where Alicent and Cum find themselves firmly in opposition to Rhaenyra, the emotional turning point that changes their courses, that shapes the future of the realm. Interrupting the emotional explosion of this dilemma, this arc, with a line where fucking Larry explains how Kingsguard could get away with this kind of thing would be so detrimental. Now, isn't the foregoing of things making sense in favor of making space for dramatic moments exactly the fundamental issue at the core of Game of Thrones' collapse? Well, it's one among a few, but I would say that this is well shy of ruining the show's consistency. For the sake of comparison, I would say it's not quite as bad as Jaime killing his cousin in season 2. It could similarly be a concerning sign of where things may go in the future, but for now, I can understand why each character in this situation does everything they do, including the Kingsguard not stopping Combi. So yeah, okay, my name's Joffrey, I'm just never going to a wedding. Laenor screams about something. Typical hysterical man. Alright, party's over, send the clowns home, take down the bouncy castle. Rhaenyra, get rid of that face paint. But I was a tiger. They rush the wedding with just the family members. They haven't even bothered to entirely clean up Joffrey's remains. The bells and whistles now swept away, it's clear that this union and all the dealings of noble politics are steeped in blood. We see the man who spilt that blood on the verge of committing Sudoku for it until he is brought back from the brink by a politician who has use of him for a personal grudge and can give him purpose. Off to kill myself.
Sir Kristen.
Oh shit, that's my name? I thought I was Krillin. It's past Viserys' bedtime, so he decides to just go to sleep here. Don't mind him. Don't worry about the blood, by the way. Scampers will clean it up, won't you, buddy? Oh wait, that's Laris. Got a taste for human blood, do you, old Larry, old pal? Goodbye, Millie. Goodbye, Emily. You've both been wonderful. Whatever Emma and Olivia end up doing with these characters, we'll know who to thank for their foundations. Unfortunately, as the first episode of the show without a single frame of my whoopee long danger noodle, my elongated shiny Gyarados, the dumb fucking neck boy, I have no choice but to deem this as the worst episode so far. Maybe he was just busy at soccer practice today. Thanks for watching. I know we're running a bit behind, so thanks for waiting too. Thanks me patrons, couldn't have done it without you. Well, maybe I could have, but just not as well. Thanks Mum for raising me. It's her birthday this week, so happy birthdays in the comments, please. And thank me. Couldn't have done it without me. Fucking subscribe to find out. Oh, we have a new song out. Check the new song out. Fucking subscribe to find out whether or not we get copyright claimed again. Yippee! What a fun job this is. Woohoo! Yay! Huzzah! Nah, it's actually pretty great. Thanks for asking. How about you? Oh, fuck yeah. Talk about the weather.